You're sitting in a quiet cafe. You can feel it before you see it. Someone is watching you. You turn around and there they are. You call it a sixth sense, but the real answer is far stranger. For over a century, scientists have tried to explain this exact feeling. Why does the back of your neck prickle when eyes land on you? Why do you turn around at exactly the right moment? The answer isn't mystical. It isn't extrasensory, but it might be even stranger than you think. Let's start with the science itself. In the late 1800s, a psychologist named Edward Titchener became fascinated by how often people reported this sensation. He gave it a name, the psychic staring effect. Titchener didn't believe in mind reading. He believed something else was happening, something rooted entirely in ordinary human biology. Here's his theory. You are far more sensitive to being watched than you realize, not because of any hidden power, because of an ancient survival mechanism built into your peripheral vision. Your eyes are constantly scanning your environment, even when you're not paying attention. Peripheral vision doesn't see fine detail, but it's extremely good at detecting one specific thing, another pair of eyes. Think about that for a moment. Why would evolution wire your brain to specialize in spotting eyes? Of all things. Because for your ancestors, a pair of eyes fixed in your direction almost always meant one of two things, predator or rival. Both required an immediate response. There was no time to consciously analyze the scene. Your ancestors needed a shortcut, a way to feel danger before they could name it. This shortcut still lives inside you today. Neuroscientists have identified a region called the superior temporal sulcus, a part of the brain specifically tuned to detect gaze direction. It activates faster than your conscious awareness can process what it's seeing. You feel watched before you know why, but there's a second piece to this puzzle, and it's less about biology and more about probability. Psychologist Robert Baker studied the staring effect in the 1990s and offered a very different explanation. He argued that the feeling isn't triggered by an actual gaze at all. It's triggered by memory and coincidence working together. Here's how it plays out. You've been in a room with other people 1,000 times before. Occasionally, you turn around and someone happens to be looking at you. Nothing mystical there. People look around rooms constantly. But your brain doesn't file that moment away as random. It files it as confirmation. Every time you feel watched and turn around to find eyes on you, your brain rewards the belief. Every time you feel watched and turn around to find nothing, your brain quietly forgets it happened. This is called confirmation bias, and it's one of the most powerful forces shaping human memory. You remember the hits, you forget the misses. Over a lifetime, this creates a powerful illusion. It feels like you're almost always right when you sense someone watching you. In reality, you're only remembering the times you were. So, which is it? Is it your ancient gaze detection system, sensing something real in your peripheral vision? Or is it a trick of memory, stacking coincidences into a false pattern? In 1898, a researcher named Edward Sanford attempted a bold public experiment. Volunteers were split into two groups. One group was stared at from behind by a hidden observer. The other group wasn't. The participants had to guess whether they were being watched. The results were almost exactly what chance would predict. This has been tested again and again in modern psychology labs, using blind studies where neither the participant nor the person recording data knows whether the staring is happening. Across dozens of controlled experiments, people's guesses land right around 50%. No better than a coin flip. That's an uncomfortable finding for something that feels so certain in the moment. But here's where it gets more interesting. Because while your ability to detect being watched in a controlled lab setting appears to be no better than random chance, your brain's real-world environment is nothing like a lab. In everyday life, staring rarely happens in a vacuum. It comes bundled with other cues. A shift in ambient noise, a change in someone's posture reflected faintly in a window or a shiny surface, a shadow moving at the edge of your vision. Your conscious mind may not register any of this, but your peripheral processing does. What feels like a mysterious inner sense may actually be dozens of tiny environmental signals, stitched together below the threshold of awareness and translated into a single, urgent feeling. Someone is looking at you. This is where the sixth sense and the coincidence theory start to blend into something more nuanced. You're not reading minds. You're reading a room, using senses so fast and so subtle you never notice them working. There's a modern parallel worth mentioning. In crowded public spaces like classrooms and offices, researchers have found that people are unusually accurate at detecting when someone is looking directly at their face compared to looking just past them. Even a 1 or 2 degree shift in gaze direction changes how confidently people report feeling watched. Your gaze detection circuitry, it turns out, is remarkably precise, at least when there's an actual gaze to detect. So the truth sits somewhere between the two explanations. Your peripheral vision genuinely can pick up on subtle gaze cues faster than conscious thought, and your memory genuinely does inflate how often you're right, discarding the countless times you felt watched and were wrong. Both things are true at once. Your biology gives you a real, if imperfect, radar for eyes, and your mind quietly edits your memory to make that radar feel flawless. Think about what this means the next time that prickling sensation crawls up the back of your neck in a crowded room. It's not proof of a hidden sense beyond the 5 you already know you have. It's a reminder that those 5 senses are doing more work in more subtle ways than you ever give them credit for. You call it a 6th sense, but the real answer is your 5 senses working in the background, faster than you can consciously follow. The next time you feel eyes on you and turn around to check, you're not testing fate. You're running an ancient piece of software, built for a world of predators and rivals, still quietly scanning every room you walk into.